Hello everybody, it's Kylie from Stampin's Workshop. I just thought we'd make a new card together. I'm going to try and do this a bit more regularly. I had so much fun last time. Excuse my squeaky chair and excuse my lights again because I put in more lights and then the one above my head went out and I don't know how to replace it. It's one of those fan ones. Anyway, enough about that. I thought we'd make a card together. I've been making these mosaic cards, I've been calling them, and they're so fun. And I thought that I would show you how to do it. These are actually going to go live on the blog tomorrow, but I thought we would do it together today. And we're going to make one that looks like this, which is using the BLACKBERRY Beauty paper. So they're my new favourite thing to do. So if you've got leftovers, scraps of pattern paper, as we all do, just cut them into shapes, and that's how we're going to create our card. So I start by getting a panel that's cut to the size. You could do it a little bit larger if you wanted to, but I've got all of these pre-cut. When I get a packet of the Whisper White cardstock, I go through and cut them into quarters, so I can just grab this, and they're always cut to size. Next, you'll need some adhesive sheets. This is the easiest way to do it, and I love adhesive sheets too. I use them for everything. They've changed them a little bit. It used to be one complete sheet and you pull off the backing and it was easier, but now they come in these strips, which I don't like as much, to be quite honest with you. We just want to make sure that they cover everything. Don't take off the backing just yet. We want them as close. Oopsie. Don't worry about that. We'll fix that before we get started. And let's apply the last piece. Okay, so make sure that's all well pressed down. And it's gone over the edge a little bit, but don't worry, we can tidy all that up at the end. It's just let me pull off the backing. It's funny, as soon as you go live, things are harder. I've made 2 of these cards over the last couple of days. Not a drama, everything just worked. But yeah, you go live and suddenly things stick and you can't cut things straight. And I mean, it's not always perfect, don't get me wrong. So now you can see we've got all this, which is perfectly covered in adhesive. But there are a couple of bits where the adhesive has lifted up. I then at this stage, and I found this is the easiest way to do it, come in and just cover over those spots. The benefit of doing it now is that you've still got adhesive everywhere. When I made one of them the other day, I didn't realise that it didn't have adhesive in spots. And so when I put my embossing powder, or went to use my embossing powder, I had gaps. And then I tried to fix it, and my cure, which wasn't a very good one, was to use liquid adhesive. But when you use this, it bubbles up. Don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. So I find that this is the easiest way to do it. And then it's just a simple case of get your scraps, which you've cut to all, you know, usually you might end up with a strip like that. You might need to cut some extra depending on how many you've got available. I couldn't tell you. And then you just go through and you fill in the spaces. And they don't have to be, see, this is a bit of a curved shape there, don't worry about it. It won't matter. But sort of have a nice gap like that. And It's really like just doing a puzzle, just fit in the pieces. I find too that sometimes you might need to crack your scraps to a different size, but I just do it all at the start, and hope for the best. And you can also use the little bits that hang over the edge to fill in some of the gaps as well. Now this is, I've been using a lot of the plainer B-side, but this is actually a really pretty foiled paper, so make sure you use that as well. And see what I mean? Like, it's so simple. The only problem I've found with this, and I don't know what the answer is, you guys, if you've got an idea, please let me know, is that you've got to put your fingers all over it in order to stick it down. It's just how the process works. So you can't use your embossing buddy over it before you do the embossing, which is a little frustrating because especially with the foil and everything, you do find that it can be a little bit, well, you have to be careful. But I have not worked. Now see, there's this spot, I want a really thin triangle in there. So I'm going to just cut it up a bit more and see if that will fit in. Oh, I probably should have cut that a bit smaller, but it won't matter. Once this is all together, it's going to look so good. And you really just sit through. Oh, here's one I haven't used before. That's a nice one, isn't it? Yeah, you really just go through. It's this easy. It's this easy. Let go in there. I think I need another one of those pieces, don't I? What's that on there? And I do like, this is, you could use that, but it's a little bit plain. So I want to have something that's got a little bit more interest to it, but it's up to you, of course. Whatever. And some of it you're not even going to see because of where you put your sentiment. Now the last time I made this, I made it in a portrait size. We might do the same, we might not. Let's add some more of this gorgeous gold. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes it's sometimes things just go together easily, and sometimes you fiddle and fuss. Or is that just me? Now I'm sort of being a bit slow, but really you could knock this out in a very short period of time. Aren't these papers gorgeous? Like, you don't, and let's be real, we do pay a bit for all of our things, so you want to make sure that you get the use out of as much of it as possible. Whoopsie. What else do you think I need? Haven't used. Let's add that in there somewhere. No, I don't like it. I might need to chop it a little bit. So you see what I mean? You just plop all these pieces in. Oh, this is a nice one, isn't it? I like that. I haven't used too much of that. We just need a little triangle to go in there. Might work perfectly. No, a bit big. Yeah, so you just keep filling it all in. I don't have much of this one used over here. as well. Sometimes well, I do, I find myself reaching for the same colours, and you've got to remember to sort of, well, it depends what you're after, of course, but sort of, I still haven't ended up using much of this one, so let's go see if I've got any. Here's another piece. There we go. And now we just keep filling in those little gaps. See how the mosaic's coming together? So it's like doing it with tiles, except we're doing it with patterned paper. And it looks so effective. Now see, this one's going to overlap this paper in a minute, but don't worry about that because I'm actually going to chop that off when I go around and trim all the edges up. So it's just sort of, as I say, it's just like putting a puzzle together, except you don't have to worry about where they all go. You just plonk it down and it looks so cute. You don't have to keep even gaps or anything like that, just plonk it down. Maybe not that one. I need a bit more gold over here. So we do that, and maybe a little bit more purple in there. I think we're nearly done. Once again, fill it in as much as you like or as little as you like. I have a little bit plumped down there. Some of these might come off, these little pieces once we go to trim it, but that'll be fine. Okay, so when you get to that, move out all of your other bits and pieces. You can pop them aside and make another card, and then you pick it up. And I could have, sorry about the truck making a lot of noise. So then I actually tend to go to my big scissors and go through, and you could keep all of these offcuts as well to go towards the next card. Or if you didn't have enough, as you're doing it, come along and cut all these pieces off so that you can keep putting them back onto your work. Bit of adhesive stuck on some of them, that's all right. Oh good, hi Melissa, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I thought, whoopsie, I cut that a little bit crookedly. So it's kind of, it's reminiscent of using the tailored tag punch, but if you don't have that, you should get it. But if you don't have it, it's a good way. You just cut up your little scraps. Let's get all these out the way. And see, now I've got all these little pieces. I could, oh, I did lose that bit. I could pop that back in there and just trim it off. So, I mean, it looks super cute like that. But don't forget it's sticky. Now this is where we'll pop all those, I just pop them in a tub and use it later. If you don't want to use it, chuck it out. Don't keep all the things, we don't need them. Okay, then we'll get the next step. You've got all your adhesive there, don't forget, because we've covered it. So now we just get our embossing powder and sprinkle it on. Be generous. Just you want to fill in all of those gaps as best you can. Oops. Scoop some more up. I love embossing, but I tell you, I get this stuff everywhere. Even when, you know, I put down bits of extra paper and all of those things, and I still get it everywhere. Yes, I used adhesive sheets on the back, covered it all completely, and then I, when I took it off, if it lifts up, you know how sometimes you get a little bit of lift up, I then went just with the Stampin steel, no, it was the adhesive base, and then if I had any gaps, I went over the top of it with the seal, because we want all of the adhesive. Don't use a liquid don't use a liquid. And the reason we're doing the adhesive sheets rather than a VERSAMARK is because we actually want the paper to stick as well. So tap off any extra. I always get this everywhere, so I will do this off camera, so you, mainly so it doesn't get onto my workspace, which is not too, see, I got it everywhere. Anywho, and pop the lid on because I don't know why. I love it embossing, but I get it everywhere. Alright, we'll clean up my space. Right, now you've got a really cute background. Now this is, it's going to get noisy, so get your heat tool, get it nice and hot. So sorry it's getting noisy. Once that's heating, there's a little gap here, but it's not too bad. And then start to melt it. This is my favourite part. I love watching it melt. Sorry, it's noisy. Yeah, I think you could do it with gold foiling as well. Okay, sorry that was so loud. And it takes a while because you want it all to be melted and there's quite a bit of embossing powder there. To answer your question, yes, Melissa, you could do this with gold foiling. The only reason I didn't do, I actually sat down to do it with the gold foiling, but I tend to get that everywhere as well. So I decided to try it with the embossing powder because I then wanted to see how it would look like with silver. So I was just playing around with the different colours. Okay, so now that's the base of the card already done and dusted. So all you then need to do is get your adhesive and stick it to your card base. I normally do it these days. I normally do a lot, well, we all know I use a lot of adhesive. I like adhesive. Oh, the silver is gorgeous. I really like that as well. So then you just stick it onto your card base. I usually do a top fold, but I've decided this time to do a side fold. Whoopsie. The downside of, there we go. So now we can either do it this way or we could do another one that way, which we will decide at the end. Okay, our sentiment. You can never have enough birthday cards. So let's do another birthday card. I am going to use the shaded summer, and because I've not long got this, so it's my new favourite, and that's the sentiment we're going to use. I did this a little bit differently when I made my first card, but I'm going to do it this way because it'll make sense in a minute. If you've still got an embossing buddy, don't get rid of these, use it. It's helps. I still get little stray bits everywhere, but if you've got it, use it. Don't get rid of it. Any sort of powder tool. Ink up your sentiment with VERSAMARK and stick it down. And then I'm going to gold emboss this because it works with the colours that we're using. Tap off any extra. See, there's very little in the way of stray bits. If you do have stray bits, all I can recommend for that is keep a paintbrush on hand and then use that to delicately wipe it off. I say delicately, but sometimes I then get too much everywhere and it's a hard work. Alright, so now we heat emboss again, so it's going to get loud again, but not for as long. Isn't that the best? I love watching it. I love watching it melt. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Right. So the reason I usually try to use as little paper as possible when I'm doing this so that I can use the rest of it for another project. But what I'm going to do now is take out some of the gold pieces from the Expressions in Ink ephemera pack. Some I've already broken apart. I keep them in one of these. I'm so sad they don't do this and keep this size anymore. It was good for everything, which is such a shame. I put everything once I open it into that space. Okay, so I'm going to use that to go around it, and I'm going to use some of these pieces for a bit of interest as well. So let's get those out now. Maybe just a few like that. All right, that'll look good. And we'll put this aside for now. Now, what I'm going to do, because whilst I prefer to use the tape runner for most things, sometimes you just can't. So what I'm going to do for this one is apply a little bit of the Tombow Mono liquid glue, and then you can either use a sponge dauber or just your finger and sort of wipe it onto the... There's possibly a better way to do this, but this is the way I've been doing it. You do get sticky, but I always keep a cloth and I always keep baby wipes on hand. And then I'm going to position that. I've got a little bit of extra adhesive, so you'll want to wipe that off. It's a bit higher than I would have liked, but that'll do. We'll clean up the silicone mat later. And just... Alright, now I'm actually going to cut this out. You could cut it out with a border. You could cut it out with a border. Will we cut it out with a border? Let's have a look. What do you think? Should I leave a border or should I... Let's cut it out with the border, and then we'll decide whether we keep the border or get rid of it. I'll show you what it looks like when it doesn't have the border. The white border, that is. The only problem is it's not super even. This is the one... You like the border? That's the one without the border. Alright, I might just do a little notch to keep it in line with what's already there. Border it is. I see your boat. Oh, that was good. The only side problem is, because I cut it with a border, I haven't got my lines perfect. Oh well. You know I'm going to ruin it. No, let's just... That'll do. Okay, so now we've got our sentiment, and really all that's left is to decide, do we do another one where it's like this? This is how I'm just going to place a few things around like that. Or should we do it this way and have it in a landscape format? What do you think? give you a few minutes to tell me what I should do. So, landscape or portrait? I can't decide. I mean, we do already have one portrait, but it does look super cute. Maybe we should change it up. Landscape. All right, let's do landscape. Okay, so now I'm going to get my Stampin' Dimensionals once again. If you ever watched a video of mine, I use a lot of adhesive, so don't judge. Oh, you can judge, but I'm not going to change because I just can't help it. It's just what I do. I've tried to over the years, but I just can't. So now take off the backings. Thanks, Percy. Yeah, I think landscape is something a little bit different. I have made the other one, and it's nice to sort of see that you can use them in either direction. That, you know, it's a versatile pattern. You're not limited to one. That's what I like about it. Now, once again, you could. I'm just sort of going to put this in place while I work out where I might put everything. I'll put that there. I might put that around a little bit. That around a little bit. And I think that over the top. Something like that. Okay. Now I would normally, once again, use tape runner, but I'm going to. Hi Terry, nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Just giving you a bit of a sneak peek of the card that's going live tomorrow on my blog. I'll show you the original in a minute. And I'll put a little bit on this. I really should just stick to using what I know best. I don't do liquid glue very well. It's funny because whilst I go overboard with the Stampin' Dimensionals and the tape runner, I don't tend to go overboard with the liquid glue because I get it. Whoopsie, I get it everywhere anyway. So, I think it should have been a little bit lower. I think about there. So we'll pop that there. And then I think we need a few more touches. So get a little bit of the gold trim. I'm running out of this. I forgot to order it with my last order. And I'm so sad because I'm going to run out before my new order gets placed. So cut off the edge of the end, and I think we might put it there. I'm going to use glue dots for that. You could put a dab of glue or tape runner or anything like that. I tend to use I always have tweezers around as well, and I kind of pick them up and give them a bit of a squish, the dot a little bit of a squish, and then put the piece on. And then I think I will. I was upping and ahhing whether I would put anything else on it, but I kind of feel I'm a bit too side heavy, so we'll add some more gilded gems. Although having said that, I'll probably put them over here. Maybe we'll pop some up at the side there. Let's have a look. Once again, I tend to use tweezers for this. I know you've got pick tools and things like that, but I think, you know, if you have a system that works, just sort of stick with it, you know. Oopsie. I was creating a card the other day and I was using gems, and I've got to say, I picked it up in the tweezer and I pushed too hard and it went flying across the room. I still haven't found it. I don't know where it's gone. So, oh, pretty much like that one did. Please tell me I'm not the only one that's happens to. So that, I think we'll do it. That's our card. What I would do now, but I won't make you sit through this bit, I like to put just a little plain something on the inside of my card. So for the one that I've done previously, I basically did the same thing but just on a small panel, and I embossed that same thing and just cut off a strip and then put it inside. So I'll do the same for that, but I won't make you sit through that. So there are cards using the mosaic technique, just with your offcuts. Keep your offcuts. Don't keep them forever. Use them and then get rid of any leftovers. And there are cards. So thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Check out the blog tomorrow. It'll show you all of the things that I've used to create the cards, and there'll be links to the items if you decide to get them, and that will be at stampersworkshop.com. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for sticking with us, and have a great day. Bye.